So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to friends, colleagues, and connections from around the world. Today, I have a great pleasure to welcome Damon Rand, CTO, Managing Director of Wolfberry Cyber. So Wolfberry has won several international awards for the service they provide. Damon, maybe you could tell me a little bit about what Wolfberry Cyber is all about and what services you provide and what problems you resolve for companies.
Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, we are considered, I think, these days to be a bit of a startup company, but we've actually been around 10 years now as an organization. So it's very strange. We started when the sector was known as information security before the sexy words came in, like cyber and all those things. So, yeah, we started off providing the normal functions that cybersecurity companies do. So the penetration testing, trying to break into a web application or a network. We've done that from day one, and then the vulnerability scans, analyzing clients' networks to make sure that they haven't got any vulnerabilities, that the IT teams are doing their jobs and making sure that everything is patched and updated. But from an early point, which I think is quite a unique thing for most companies working in cyber, we decided at an early point not to provide any remediation or IT services at all. So basically, when we identify a problem, we'll explain to you what the problem is, why it's a problem, and then how you fix it. But we won't fix it because, one, we can't mark our own homework, right? Yeah. And two, a big problem for us is impartiality. If we tell a client that their entire network is vulnerable, and then in the next breath we send to them a quote saying, "Yeah, this is the quote to fix it,"
Yes,
immediately it devalues our quote because they're going to put that seed of doubt in, and we never want that seed of doubt. So we stood back from that. We partner with some IT companies, but really, we are on the side of the client, which gives us a unique position. And some of the services we've added over the last couple of years, things like SOC services, so threat detection, dark web searches, phishing simulations, all of these things get added. And the reason they get added is because we work with our clients, we have long-term relationships with them, and we identify things that they have weaknesses in. So we were working with a client in Cardiff that had a problem. They work on some really sexy tech, and we knew that they would have interest from other nations about their systems. So they really needed some level of threat detection on their system to identify what was going on. Now, a key problem for that was they didn't have that technology. So we introduced them to a number of companies, and all those companies came back, and the costs were just astronomical. So we sat there, scratched our heads, and then realized that, okay, well, we can put that service together for them at a fraction of the cost. So hence we did that. And we find that's what we tend to do all the time, is to help our clients and then introducing new services as a result of that. Because I mean, our overall mantra is to make cybersecurity accessible, understandable, and affordable for all businesses. So whether you're a 10-man organization, you should have the ability, if you're concerned about cybersecurity, we feel you should have the ability to defend and protect your data in your systems just as well as everyone else. But 9 out of 10 times, it's just cost out of the market for them.
Okay. I read and I know that Lynx itself has cyber essentials certification, but I also read about Cyber Plus. Could you maybe explain what the difference is?
Yeah, it's just a world of difference. So we split the levels of services that we provide into levels of assurance, right? So it starts with level 1, and then all the way up to level 3, which gives you 90% assurance of your systems are secure, and that's the SOC threat detection. It can never be 100% because you can't stop an employee taking a server and selling it on eBay, which we've actually seen. So,
oh wow.
There you go. But level 1 we see as Cyber Essentials Plus. The reason being that you get no assurance with Cyber Essentials Standard because it is a self-assessment questionnaire. there is no third-party verification. So, and we've seen this a number of times where it's unfortunate for businesses as well that they'll go for the Cyber Essentials standard certification. Their external IT company will provide it and write all the answers in that they feel should be the right answers.
Yeah, okay.
The client's thinking, oh, that's great, we got Cyber Essentials standard, that's amazing, but nothing parries aligns with what they've got, if that makes any sense. So it's a real problem. That's where the value in Cyber Essentials Plus comes along, because there is a third-party verification. Someone like us will come along and we'll attest to what they've said in Cyber Essentials standard to make sure it marries up.
Yeah, okay.
So that there is a level of assurance with Cyber Essentials Plus over standard. So it's definitely should be. Cyber Essentials standard is the first foot on the road to becoming cyber secure as an organization.
It's more of an awareness statement, isn't it, rather than maybe a kind of hard we're protected statement.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I mean, the only thing it gives you is a certificate that you can print out and put on your wall. And the last time I checked, the certificate will never stop a cyber attack. So
yes, yeah, very true. In fact, talking about cyber attacks, I read recently that 1 in 6 companies have publicly acknowledged that they've paid a ransom to having been held somewhat hostage, and I think recent events at the Honda car companies where the production lines were stopped and I believe also held hostage. I guess with IoT 4 and Industry 4, mega connection of every piece of working machinery in a factory environment, this is actually going to be something that's going to have to take a lot of thought and careful consideration.
Oh, completely. Well, you say that the same week as the Honda, in fact, I think it was the week before the Honda attack happened, we were asked to go and assist with a company in Bristol.
Okay.
So they'd got all their documents had become inaccessible to them, and they had a strange message on their screen, right? So we rocked up there. This is right in the middle of the pandemic, obviously.
Yeah.
So discovered that they had something called Thanos ransomware. So the fun started. They had their ransom note, but you can tell it's always a bad sign. There's 2 different types of ransom notes on ransomware. One that will just come up and say pay half a Bitcoin or whatever.
Okay.
Or 0.25, and the ones that say contact us and we'll discuss releasing your files means these people are a bit more serious, and this is not just a random attack, right?
Yeah.
So we spoke to them. They came back. So we spoke over email. They came back quite quickly saying, yes, we know this organization, relatively big. They knew the turnover of the organization, and they knew the number of sites, the number of staff. They knew everything about it. So they put a price on that accordingly. So they wanted £21,000.
Wow. Incredible.
Right. So the problems with that straight off is that, you pay it, you're not necessarily going to get your data back. We know that, right?
Yeah.
But if I take you back to exactly where it happened, so what we had worked out, they had a number of remote offices. This is where it gets really scary. Back in October the year before, that branch, that site, one of the remote sites, had clicked on a phishing email. That phishing email had put malware onto their PC. From that, then they slowly tried to brute force, because they use remote desktop back to the main office, brute force the site. They eventually got on in January. Then they sat on their network and they watched and they did everything. And when they were running their backups, they were letting their backups learn them complete, then destroying them.
Wow, incredible!
Right. So then all of a sudden
you think your disaster recovery plan would dig you out of the situation, right? But people are actually negating even that option to read.
These guys were not messing around, Paul, right? So they sat on their network, and then in March they just pulled the plug. Basically, the company was so by the time we'd got there, they couldn't restore data. There was no data to restore.
Yes.
And their systems, they'd been everywhere and done whatever they wanted. over that period, right? So they had a number of options. They could pay the ransom and hopefully get their data back. But what does that lead to? You don't know if they time bomb the data in another way, and then in another 6 months' time, they do it again. What we see as a pattern here, they'll ask for £21,000 this time. Then next time they might have to ask for a third of that, say £7,000, because they'll think, well, that's better than last time. It's a strange mentality people get, right?
I guess it's a good strategy to extract the maximum financial value out of their position.
Completely, right? So, but I did explain to them whatever they did, so even if they paid it, they would still be faced with stripping absolutely everything down, because this organization had been breached with an active persistent threat, an APT, for a number of months. We had no idea where else they were or what else they were doing. So even if they did, they would have faced huge disruption and cost, because everything would have to be taken down and brought back up. So they decided, and I think it was the right decision to do, was to not pay the ransom, tell them to go away, and then start again.
Wow. Okay.
But I must say they have put threat detection in now. And believe it or not, the attacks were originating from Russia consistently.
Right,
and we've seen persistent attacks now across their surface ever since. They are constantly being bombarded with phishing emails and probes from certain areas, but because we're there to assist now, we can block some stuff off. So it was huge, but we're seeing that across the industry, well, across all sectors, I should say. Sorry, I mean, it's worth saying we're recruiting now at the moment again, but that will be the fourth person that we've employed since February during this lockdown. So it's been absolutely crazy, and it's a huge problem.
Yeah, I guess the distribution of staff and maybe let's say no physical reminders of security protocols, and people may be a bit more relaxed to phishing attacks, etc., has really amplified.
Completely.
Yeah.
Look, phishing is the number one deployment, a launch pad for a cyber attack, right? It is quite literally the number one approach. It is so easy to do. In December, you'll get phishing emails about Amazon deliveries, right? Because those 2-3 weeks before Christmas, there's a problem with your Amazon delivery, or there's a problem with DPT is delivering a package. Click on these links. And, oh my God, people click on them. Then in January, we'll have HMRC. You've got a HMRC tax refund, right?
Yes.
And no matter how much the HMRC will say to you, we don't send you emails about that. We won't do that, right? Still click on them, right? They do. There's a problem with your tax return. We see it all the time. So, so phishing is really simple. So as I alluded to earlier, that we do phishing simulations for our clients these days, right? And I'll tell you now, we did 2 tests for one of our clients. They got 350 employees. We did one about your Office 365 account has been accessed by another user at this location. Click here to find out more details, right? We did that. We sent it to 350 people. And I think 60 people opened the email, which is okay. But about 30 to 40 around that clicked on the email. Now, bear in mind, from a cyber criminal's point of view, I only need one person, right?
That's
but we got 30, 40.
10% of the organization have just opened the floodgates.
10 minutes later, we sent another email saying coronavirus update, right? Out of that 350 employees, 180 opened the email, and 140 clicked on the link.
Wow.
Right?
Incredible.
So phishing now is a huge problem. You think, Paul, and this is my latest thing that I'm talking about constantly, is track and trace. How much paranoia and how easy is it going to be for cyber criminals to send phishing emails about track and trace? Paul, you've been identified in this. Click on this to see your next update. Oh my God. And in fact, we just started a simulation for a client now. And the guys just ran me just before we were going on the call. The first 5 emails went out, have been opened and clicked on.
Wow, incredible, it is truly incredible.
So as a business, I mean, and this is all businesses, any business that has IT systems, which is most businesses these days, right? They have to assume So this is where the shift in the landscape has gone huge now, right? You have to assume that cyber criminals have a hook into your network somehow, and that's through someone clicking on a phishing email. So you can't push everything to the perimeter anymore. You just cannot do it. You have to assume. And our phishing simulations across all the clients that we do it for, it roughly equates to about 14% of all emails sent get clicked on.
Wow.
Right. And that doesn't mean that everybody has got ransomware on their system. That just means that there is a foothold, there is a weakness, and maybe it's just some malware that, that there's malvertising in some way that's, or there's bank stealing malware on a machine, or there's just keylogger or something, any of these things. They're all deployed using phishing.
Yeah. So does standard products like Malwarebytes help remove this stuff, or are these attackers smart enough to, let's say, slide under the door?
Yeah, well, they are, right. So, as you know, Paul, right, the internet is full of colds. There are viruses and malware floating all the way around it, and it is, if you can equate it to things like colds, that's a great example, right? And things like Malwarebytes is a great product, right? And other antivirus products are available, right?
Yes.
They are brilliant, but they're brilliant at identifying and stopping things they know about.
Yeah. Okay.
And that quite often, if you're a company, for example, this company that we went to help, right, the guy about that, they were targeted by cyber criminals. Cyber criminals can quite easily go online on the dark web and buy a piece of malware with a unique signature that antivirus products will have no idea about, right? They can deploy that and just attack you. That's it. So they are essential, because you're just going to keep getting all sorts of problems on your computer if you don't have antivirus. So they are essential, but they are so easy to bypass. Anything like a 0-day. So for those who don't know, a 0-day is a new virus that or new malware. Sorry, I'm old. I keep calling everything viruses, right?
Very relevant.
Malware is a 0-day is that there is no inoculation for, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, amazing. It's I guess anyone watching or listening to this will be alarmed, surprised, and probably desperate to contact yourself.
Well, Mac users, Mac users are the best, though.
Solve the problem, right?
Yeah, Mac users are the best, though. We gotta love Mac users, because they've got Macs, so they don't need antivirus. Even though the Macs have more viruses these days than anything else, really, especially new ones coming along. But I always joke that, if Apple do get a virus, though, everybody will be queuing around the block to get it, won't they? Because it'll be a cool, funky virus, right?
Yeah, it's going to be enhancing,
Yeah, it is,
But
with product features.
Apple might even go as far as charging you for having it,
I couldn't comment,
possibly. So what do you see as the challenges to grow your business at the moment, Damon?
Oh, us? Well, for us, it's really, for us to grow the business, well, we're really fortunate, right? So we're keyed in. We do a lot of work with the universities. We do a lot of great work with USW, University of South Wales, Cardiff University. We have points of contact with Swansea University. So, and they all have great cyber degrees and cyber courses available. We do a lot of work with Coleg Gwent as well. And we're linked to the great stuff that the Tramshed does and all this. So we're really keyed into the Welsh economy, especially in this region.
Cyber is a real hotspot in Southeast Wales, right?
Oh, definitely.
And unsurprisingly, so is fintech, which also kind of meshes together in many ways, right? Because
completely.
Yeah, because there's also issues about protection of data from a GDPR perspective, right? If we constantly see large organizations where people's personal details are lost, and this is clearly a massive issue for small, medium, and large companies.
It's a great point. Yeah, you are right, fintech. But that's the thing with cybersecurity. It's really niche, right? But it has a touch point on every other industry. So whether that's working in the steel industry, fintech, any type of industry. If you've got a manufacturing line then you don't consider yourself technology at all, but all you've got is a manufacturing line, and a cyber criminal was able to attack your system and make the screws that you are making 1 millimeter longer, that old product's going to be damaged. And everybody has a touch point, so you're dead right.
Yeah, I guess the only safe system is one that's based on a kind of one-time pad and hiding messages in holes in walls, right?
No, it is.
And then maybe you've got, but anyone that uses a computer, any business that uses a computer is ultimately, but even with industrialization of Internet of Things in the home and in the industrial sector, a lot of people will be unaware that there will be a lot of their equipment, a lot of their machinery will actually be connected to the internet or connected in some way to allow some form of attack.
Yeah, no, completely. So, going back to your question, but I will come back to that as well. Yeah. The barriers for our growth really is sectors realizing that there are solutions available that aren't astronomical in cost and they're available on their doorstep for them to help to grow. So that's our barrier to growth. But we are growing. As you said, we're very fortunate to win a number of awards.
Yes.
And our approach, going back to it, is making cybersecurity accessible, understandable, and affordable for all organizations. And that's our key to our growth, I think. But IoT, you're dead right. I mean, there's a huge problem. We were already working on this. It's really timely. We have a product called Viper that we send out to our clients. We have a large number of clients who are running these boxes. It sits on their network. They connect to our SOC, our Secure Operations Center, and then we run reports and analysis of their systems so they understand their threats that are existing within their network and externally. And we were working on a product, a Viper at Home. So we were already working on that, which is quite timely with And I just say, I ran that Viper box on my network at home to make sure it was working fine.
Yeah.
And granted, I've got 4 children, right? But I found 64 devices connected to the network.
Wow.
Absolutely insane. And you would not believe the array of vulnerabilities. Samsung TVs with critical remote access vulnerabilities and things like that. So you are right. I mean, the IoT, the biggest problem with IoT is if you come up with a really cool idea, like an internet connected kettle, right? If you come up, you're going to rush it to market. And I'm telling you now, the last thing they worry about is security on it, right? Because they want to be the first to market.
Yeah, I like the statement you make on your website, which is basically security is a process, not a product. Yeah,
it is.
So completely. It has to be somewhat integral in the development of the system initially, not ideally not a sticking plaster, because that's always going to be a weaker solution ultimately. Yeah.
Completely, it's layers, right? So it's always layers, and you have to think of it that way.
Good. So how do you see cybersecurity kind of evolving and moving forward? Is it going to go down a kind of artificial intelligence route or some kind of some deep learning and understanding attackers in a way that current techniques don't address?
Well, I'm telling you, the advertising labels will say artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Whether or not it actually is artificial intelligence is something else, right? Professor Pete Burnap and I at Cardiff University, we have had a number of discussions about this, and he is like Wales's leading AI in cybersecurity gent, and he to watch him steam coming out of his ears when people say it's AI, and it's not. It is AI is a distinct thing, and definitely has the opportunity for to making systems more secure. I do think that cybersecurity has to become integrated over the number of years now, as IT has, and because IT was the be all and end all, right? You had to have IT, and the rise of all the IT companies and the services. But now they're just commoditized now. If your computer, it used to be, if your computer broke, you'd have to Well, in fact, you'd have maintenance contracts where someone would come out and dust your computer and put it back together and make sure you were working, and that would happen every couple of months. But now these days, your computer breaks, you go to Amazon or you go to PC World, you just buy a new computer, you plug it in, you're back up and running in half a day, and you haven't got to worry. So, and hopefully cybersecurity is going to grow that way, and it will need AI for it to do that, right? But the cyber criminals were going to be using AI as well, right? They're not stupid. They're always a couple of steps ahead of us.
Yeah, well, it all depends on the learning data, right? So if you ultimately supply, let's call it manipulated learning data, teach the system to learn something, and then you change your behavior, you can get, I guess you can get under the door, yeah?
Yeah, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, right? So very interesting, Damon. So I always ask this last final question to everyone I speak to, which is, tell me something that would surprise the audience watching or listening about yourself.
Oh, right. Well, I'm pretty boring, really. I spend most of my time working. My love of guitars, I think.
Yeah,
I do love I love music. I love playing music. I can play a couple of instruments, I suppose, badly.
You're playing, that's good, yeah?
Yeah, no, but I did spend part of lockdown building a recording studio, so I turned this into
okay, that's impressive.
So I've got a 32-track recorder and drums. We've got drums over there, and keyboards.
Is this a Mike Oldfield approach, or is the family dragged in?
Oh no, well, yeah, well, the only reason I was never going to have enough children to have a football team or a rugby team.
Yeah, very few people.
Yeah. Right, no, thank you. No, the kids do enjoy music, and
brilliant.
It's quite funny, really, because we used to force them all to do piano lessons, and and they moaned and hated it. We stopped, and all of a sudden, now they're playing ukuleles, guitars, and things like that. So it's quite nice, really.
Yeah, I think I personally have played the guitar for 40 years. Privately and badly, but I enjoy it, and I enjoy owning guitars, and I'm actually building one myself at the moment. So
really, what are you building?
Yeah, when I finished, I'll send you some pictures, but it won't be video. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic! I'm actually building a Telecaster at the moment.
Okay, I'm building a Stratocaster with radio pickups from up in the valleys there, with a body from Northern Ireland. So it's been on hold for a little while, but I need to get it sorted.
That's the thing. It's a labor of love.
I'm scared to cut the wood in case I make a mistake. So I'm always in this tension of, but one day I'll just grab hold of it and do it. And
that's the
end of it. Great. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, Damon. And I've learned a lot about the threats that are around us. And clearly, if anyone wants to talk to you about how Wolfberry could help and support them, I'm sure you'd be more than happy to hear from people. And I will add your link to the messaging around this video, and so people can contact you and have that discussion.
Awesome.
Okay, take care, and keep on rocking.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Damon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.